I can't do it in here. I think that one. This must blue. I'm gonna do it. You, if you want to go lower. There you go.
Hey, Mr. Hoffman, how are you?
Hey, John.
Hello.
Man,
Hello.
how's it going?
Desktop 11.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Talking
And for citation.
Well, it is for the, for
Oh, that was
for
what you
consultant
said.
and
That's
attorney.
what I
I-
thought. But that's okay. You do what The only thing I really.
He said, I don't know what that is.
I know it don't, but I just got to do it right. You follow what I'm saying? Just go keep it back.
Okay. And PTC
No, I know
is.
you don't. He likes property. I doubt it. And I. Right.
Okay. Carol, like,
Hey, dear.
Carol, would you like to do the invocation?
That's already on.
Okay. Contemplating this with you.
Well, I've been alternating back and forth with DJ. and
So
John.
nobody else.
I know, but I was gonna ask
Tell
you
me they
anyway.
were gonna go in and do it, but
I don't,
Yeah, if your mom's not frail.
That's true.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
That
You
is
need to
true.
work.
well, and I remember somebody did this. I don't know, the guy was chairman of it.
hold on, there's people on that board I ain't never seen.
Yes, pastor, or yes, person.
Oh, yeah.
She used to be, project.
I mean, cause they make name tags back there, right? There's people I've never seen. Right. Well, now that was one that some couple about. So that might be, but I got you.
Uh-huh.
The problem with that is though, if got too many ain't there, we can't have a quorum.
Mr. Patter, how are you, sir?
Well, we're supposed to meet next week. We're supposed to meet next Tuesday.
That's mostly what I got.
Yeah, just
Jimmy hadn't been there.
I'll go through. So,
Yeah.
Don't think about it.
He lived there.
So all she's got to do is go back to her meeting and say, look, who's there and who's on the board, who wasn't.
And we're live.
Right. I know she don't know the term, so, yeah.
yeah.
How are you?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Last I heard from him, he wasn't doing particularly well. But that was, it's been, actually, I think I've seen him since then, and he looked a lot better. I'm
Follow what I'm saying. Okay, but I just think it's fair to do that unless you do it. Because you go through the back.
Oh,
I just feel better about it.
my brother, his brother, his wife. His brother paid.
Okay, it is 6:00. I will call this May 2nd meeting of the Scotland County Board of Commissioners to order. Would call on Commissioner McCall, if you would do the invocation, please, ma'am.
If you bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening, the Scotland County Board of Commissioners, as always, to ask for your guidance and your wisdom as we deliberate the needs and the wants and the wishes of the citizens of Scotland County. We know that our duty to them is real and that it's by their hand that we serve them and you at this time. So please give us the guidance and the wisdom that we pray for, and we ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner McCall. We welcome all of you to be with us to this afternoon. If you would stand, face the flag, please, and we recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioners, you have before you an agenda. If I may have a motion to approve the agenda as it stands.
So move.
Have a motion by
Second.
Commissioner Gibson, second by Commissioner McCall. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Our public forum, as many of you know, is a period of time where citizens can come before the commissioners for a 3-minute period of time and express comments and whatever they wish to do. I have on our agenda that Sue Hudson from Family Promise, but I do not see Miss Hudson. Well, let me do this. Well, I see. Let's just take a second. I assume Miss Hudson is on her way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop. Is there any? Yes, ma'am. Are you representing Miss Hudson?
Yes,
Are you the designated speaker?
I can be.
Well, is she on her way?
She's on her way, but I'm Pat Ramsden. I actually wrote the grant.
Okay. Well, if you are going to fill in for Miss Hudson, we are ready and welcoming you.
Thank you.
If you'll come to the podium and just give us your name and perhaps your address, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm Patricia Ramsden. I am from Scotia Village, where I've lived for almost one whole year. I love living in Laurinburg, but I've always been very active with working with the homeless in every community I've been in, and Laurinburg is no different. I'm here to present the proposal for Family Promise of Scotland County. It would be an additional way to reach out to the homeless that concentrates primarily on families and keeping homeless families together. We have, according to the Scotland County School Board statistics, about 150 children who are designated as being homeless because they do not have a permanent address. And that would be those children who are actually enrolled in school. Frequently, homeless children are not able to get to school because of their living situation. So we really have no accurate count, but it's at least 150 children, and then that includes their parent or parents. We are asking for the board to help us with startup costs for this program. We will be requesting that the annex of the former I. Ellis Johnson School be dedicated for this temporary shelter and services for the families. And we also plan to meet with the city commission about what that would entail in terms of working with them on utility costs that might go up if we're permitted to use that annex. And we would work with them on meeting that increased cost in a way that makes that part of it possible. Our grant requests include a half-time setup coordinator who would help us with things like publicity, setting up community meetings, getting those things advertised, working with the initial participants in the program, all of those kinds of things. And also working toward getting us to where we can employ a full-time coordinator for the program and a social worker. The program would house approximately 4 families, which would be 12 to 15 people at a time. We intentionally keep that small so that we can deal with each individual family's situation to help get them into permanent housing as quickly as possible. In Family Promise, that typically takes about 6 to 9 weeks for them to get into permanent housing, and the success rate is around 80% for those families to stay in permanent housing.
Ransom, your time is up. And I don't know how to do this any other way. We had a presentation last Tuesday. Was there anything additional that was going to be brought to our attention? And if there is, I will allow someone to come and spend 3 minutes doing that.
Okay. Thank you so much. We did, I think Pat spoke to some of the questions, but one of the things that I wanted to speak to was how much the national coordinator that helps to set up new affiliates says that Family Promise is not religious or faith-based, but partners with faith communities for underutilized space, volunteers, and donors. And she also said that over 80% of the Family Promise affiliates receive government funding. And it's a mixture of federal HUD funding, CDBG, ESG, ARPA, local, state, and local city, county funding. What the churches do is a lot of the volunteer work. But she said the success is based on the partnership with government organizations and support. And I think only 10% of the funding comes from churches. So 80% comes from government agencies. And they see it as one of the best, most successful programs for homelessness in the country, because 80% of the people don't come back into it. They get, off and started in some type of sustainable housing. Is that good?
That's good. Anything else you want?
Again, the number of families, what Carolyn Gordon shared was there was a little ambiguity about the numbers, but she said 52 families, but actually it would be about 32 families that actually live in the dwellings. But there's about 20 other families that get help with unpaid utilities, deposits on housing, and other expenses related to not losing housing.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
We thank you all for being here. We had a great presentation, I thought, last Tuesday, and a good conversation after that. I think that, and I will speak for just myself, I think we all felt it was a great program, something we wanted to support. The manner in which we support and the degree to which we support was something we did not discuss fully. And we have got, as you know, many requests, and we're trying to weigh all of these against what we think we can do, and unfortunately, sometimes even against each other. We like your proposal. We like the idea. We know we've got a homeless problem. What we're going to do and how much we do and whether we do anything is something that we'll decide within maybe the next 2 or 3 months, but probably in the next 6 to 8 weeks. But we appreciate all you being here. You're welcome to stay. But we're gonna move on with our program.
And can I just introduce that these two ladies over here are the board of directors of Family Promise of Scotland County. And the nonprofit, all the paperwork has been filed, and we just haven't received all the documentation. But Elizabeth Anderson and Terry Hill are the directors of the Scotland County Family Promise.
And if I remember correctly, those are the same two ladies that were with us last week as well. Okay. Well, I spoke to Ms. Hill when she came in, and I don't have any problem, if you don't mind, if the rest of you would like to introduce yourselves, that would be great too.
Will you say something about what you're putting your will towards, Mary?
I will.
How dare
I'm sorry, I don't, if you'll just let them introduce themselves,
Yes, sir.
please.
Go ahead, Mary. Go ahead. Introduce yourself.
I'm Brenda Taylor, pastor of Galilee Baptist Church.
Ms. Taylor, I'm familiar with you. Yes, ma'am. If you're here for Family Promise, that's you just, thank you, ma'am.
And Todd representing First Baptist Church.
Ms. Todd.
Just for sale, Arbor Presbyterian Church.
Ian Yancey, still looking for a home church.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was your first name?
Ian Yancey.
Okay. New Hope Baptist Church is out on Hasty Road. We'd love for you to drop by anytime. We really do appreciate all of your involvement with Family Promise and appreciate you being here tonight. And I just,
Thank you for your time.
sure thing. Is there anyone else here who wishes to address the commissioners and the public forum opportunity? Hearing none, we will declare the public forum part of this program closed. We have a consent agenda, which, as you can see, has to do with the approval of minutes, other things. Is there anybody have any question about those, or is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
I'm sorry, motion by Mr. Alford, second by Commissioner Gibson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Carlotta Rivers? Or who's going to do that? Okay.
Good evening. Miss Carlotta and I are here together to save you some time and not be repetitive. Many of you are familiar with the Child Community Protection Team and the Child Fatality Prevention Team. These are two teams that are mandated by the state for every county in North Carolina. And most counties, we have those meetings in conjunction every quarter because they deal with some of the same issues that you see in your county. And so we're talking about 2021 calendar year. And so that's what we are reporting out on for both of our committees. And so during that time, we had 5 meetings over calendar year 2021. Those were all virtual, as you can imagine, based on our COVID crisis or pandemic. And so those are still virtual now. And I assume moving into the new year, we'll begin to talk about when we transition back into face-to-face meetings and committee meetings together. So I'm going to quickly report out on Child Community Protection Team. This is a team that is taxed with presenting cases from child welfare, and then the team decides if there are any recommendations for that case. And it's also identifying what trends we see in our county that are leading to findings of neglect, abuse, dependency, and child welfare. And so as you can imagine, what some of the ladies were just talking about, homelessness by definition are people that they aren't, when I think of homelessness, sometimes you think of somebody living on the streets, but homelessness is defined as you just don't have a residence. You're sleeping on somebody's couch. And so we do see a lot of that. And if you read through the report, or when you read through the report, you're going to see the same needs over and over in our child welfare cases: substance abuse, lack of stable housing, mental health diagnosis, the need to improve parenting skills. It's what you're going to see over and over. And it touches a lot of our cases and some domestic violence. And so that's what the team identified as needs across Scotland County. And the team, of course, gave any case recommendations that the department may not know, or the team thinks would be a next step moving forward in those cases. And so that is what Child Community Protection Team did this year. Okay.
So as far as child fatality prevention team, and I'll use the acronym moving forward as CFPT, we identify deficiencies in services or try to identify system gaps in services in the county. And we also make recommendations in the efforts of trying to prevent future child deaths. And we also run campaigns to promote understanding of child deaths in the community in the efforts of trying to prevent those from occurring again. So our team is multidisciplinary. So in addition to tag teaming with the community child protection team, we also have community agencies that come together and they bring information that they may have regarding the child who passed away and also the parents. And we collaboratively discuss those cases to identify the things that I just mentioned. I give you the reports, and then we also send those recommendations, if there are any made, to the state team. And as of 2021, the state coordinator, who was Brenda Edwards, she had been in that position for many, many years. She left, and the new coordinator is supposed to have started in April. We also have our child fatality prevention team member list. So at the end of this, if you will approve those, but with child fatality, the only exception is the health director, and that is in lieu of the resignation of Dr. Elisha Caldwell. So we reviewed a total of 8 cases. Now, even though we reviewed those cases in 2021, the deaths actually occurred in 2020. And included in your PowerPoint presentation, I won't go through those, but you can look and see the different types and causes of cases that we reviewed. One trend that we also noted that are involved in some of these deaths is substance use. So in working with the community child protection team, we're going to be removing our focus on that now that, you know, COVID is winding down or it has gone down. We will be focusing on ways to address that to promote awareness in the community. And that is all I have, unless there are any questions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of these two ladies? Thank you for your report, and you
We
need for us to.
we do need you to take action to approve each of the committees for 2022.
You're talking about the committee members.
Yes, sir.
The ones that we got in the packet, right?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve the?
I'll approve the list.
We have 2 separate lists, I believe.
They are separate lists with the same
They're
members.
the same individuals. Okay, we have 2. We have a motion to approve the personnel as designated in the information
packet.
provided in the
Yes.
packet. And then we have a motion. Is there a second? I'm sorry, Commissioner McFadder. Let's have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Those are approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Environmental health reclassification restructure. Mr. Patterson?
You do have a very much more simplified handout passed out as well on this. Part of this is an issue we're trying to clear up before we start the salary study process in May. And again, this is also another statewide issue with environmental health on recruitment and selection process. With this, and also now that we are going away from, we now have been deemed locally or substantially equivalent, we can change the classifications of environmental health. Also with that, we are probably shifting back on the change on our social workers. But what we're looking for on environmental health, currently we have 2 grades on environmental health. You have the intern position, which I lovingly and appropriately describe as the baby duck, and basically an environmental health specialist. The intern position, that's someone we hire who for the first year can dutifully carry Ms. Valentina's clipboard around because they are not certified to do anything else. And they are generally stuck there until they become basically a full sanitary within 3 years. What we're requesting is for the boards to approve this, basically create a step process. With this, we have the initial intern, which point in time, they really are a new hire. They're not necessarily certified for anything. Thereafter, if they gain certification in food, which would be your restaurant inspections, or on-site, which are septic tanks, those are the two. That's the bulk of the workload. Either of those would create them for a step to an intern 2, then an intern 3 for the other. There is actually a national test that they would have to pass to become a registered sanitarian, which would make them an environmental health specialist. And then that would be the third step. So with that, that's why we're hopeful this will be able to get us in a position where we can recruit them and also give our environmental health specialist advancement opportunities to grow. Before 2014, when we had a very long-term environmental specialist leave, the board added a third position to there so we could recruit that. In that last 8 years, we have actually had 3 environmental health specialists for probably a total of 16 months, of which that third person was generally not qualified to do anything. But this has been a situation where we've been lucky to have 2, but we have had situations where we've had 1 environmental health specialist.
Why was the turnover so great?
Some of it is, and we've seen this situation where you can go other counties because other counties were willing to hire a intern at what we were paying our supervisor. And also and this is also a statewide issue where you do have to have a 4-year environmental science degree, and it's just not it's not a situation where you leave high school, I want to be a registered sanitarian, and you go to a 4-year degree for that purpose. It's just not a well-known profession.
Yeah, how many folks do we have in this department now?
We currently have 2 people.
And where are they on this pay grade?
One is our supervisor. who's
Valentin is
over here.
It's where?
Currently, the intern is at a grade 67,
And the intern has been with us how long?
a year and a half.
Okay.
And what is
67 is not even on the list.
Right. That's our current.
current.
Okay.
And what happens is with OSHR, and we still have to meet this requirement, is that they have been stuck in one salary for the entire training time. And once they get fully trained, they're courted all over the counties, in our surrounding counties. So right now, the grade is 67. The coordinator is a grade 69. And we're way below what our surrounding counties
Is the
are.
coordinator our supervisor?
Yes.
Okay.
But they still got to go through that step process.
Yes.
Or it's state mandate, right?
Yes.
And is this recommended to us by the state, or is this
This
what's?
is our recommendation.
Our recommendation.
And there are 2 options on here. And the second option is very much like this, it's just one step's removed. It would become an intern, going from an intern 1 to an intern 2. You would have to have both restaurants and on-site.
Do you have that on the slide, the one side by side that was in our packet?
I don't have that on the slide.
And the only difference in option 2, instead of having a 3-tier step, is just,
A 2-tier step.
just for simplification purposes.
And I apologize for not understanding this completely. Are we doing this with the same kind of arguments that we've had in the last several months because we're losing folks to other counties because of our comparative pay?
Right. Number one, we're trying to become competitive to where we'll quit being a training ground. And number two, to keep that intern from being stuck in one salary throughout the entire training period, giving them some level of increments as they receive their required authorization.
So, because the intern sounds like it's not a long term, but the training period obviously is longer than 1 year.
Yes, sir. It can be up to 3 years.
Okay, well, that makes sense to me that
It does.
we would do something to incrementally reward them for making certain progress.
What's the pulse of other counties? Are they the other counties going the same level? Are we going for the training?
They, many counties they have their environmental health specialists at a higher grade, but they stay there. I don't know if they do. It was very sketchy. It was very difficult getting that information from the different counties. I basically got minimum and maximum for those. And that was included in your packet under the salary comparisons.
Mhm.
And again, and I apologize, it was very sketchy because I did not receive a whole lot of feedback.
And I know we have a salary study that we're in the middle of. And there's some reason that this is being pulled out for us to address at this time instead of waiting on the salary study. And that reason is because of the competitiveness of our salaries versus other counties.
Yes.
Okay,
So you need a action on either option 1 or 2,
Yes.
okay.
or 3 if we want to come up with our own, but
Yes.
I'm like, this is not, yeah.
Okay, I understand a little better. Now, and our intern is currently on a 67 and our
Yes, sir.
supervisor is currently at what scale?
She's at a 69.
69.
So option 1 would cost $30,369 more a year, with a total cost between May and June of $6,300. Am I reading that
Yes,
right?
Correct. Yes.
So option 2 is $26,000 a year, $54.99. But I don't think option 2 may be the best. So I guess, can I make that motion just to approve it as option 1, Jason, and you can list it as to however? I mean, you don't need me to go through this piece by piece, do you? Okay.
But I'm sorry. Yeah. Which one are you recommending?
The option 1. The
It was 3
environmental health.
steps, correct?
Huh?
It has the 3 different ones. That's the right one.
There's a side by side
I
what
got
I'm
it.
looking
Yeah.
at. So, option 1 in the environmental health position, salary and proposed structure, attachment in our packet. There we go.
I thought in your narrative, you were suggesting option 2, but
No, option 1.
okay.
Option 1.
Okay. We have a motion for us to adopt option 1 as the salary scale for environmental health positions in Scotland County. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Alford, Commissioner Alford. Any other discussion?
Question of Susan, just for my own education. Environmental health, I mean, are there curriculums on the college level for environmental health and they graduate with a degree in environmental health and actually have some of these certifications before they go out seeking employment? Do you know?
I would defer to Valentina. Do you know how to answer that question?
Right now, there is not. We still have to go through a 4.5-week training in Raleigh with the state. That's prior to local level and doing the training here before the state comes back out virtually.
Well, that explains a lot.
Any other questions? I have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. We will adopt option one. Thank you. Thank you, young lady, for being with us. Next on the agenda is the COVID-19 update.
Okay, with that, fortunately, we are still in a very good position. Of course, we are at a county average of 62% have.
Oh, like yourself out.
Nothing working in the spring. We are at 62% with vaccinated. 48% are fully vaccinated, receiving both doses. And there is a breakdown across all age groups. But with that, just for the last year, I did pull up these numbers. You'll see at the top the trend for infections over the last year. Fortunately, we are down in the barely recognizable portion with the state has 23 active cases in Scotland County. There are undoubtedly more than that going on because at-home testings are not reported back into the state. But then again, also if you are testing at home, you are not having serious effects. It is going to be a fairly minor situation. And I think earlier on, I believe there was no specific hospitalizations, though I think currently there may be some hospitalizations. But then again, we are in a significantly better place than we have been in a long time.
Any questions or comments by commissioners? Move to the item 5, I.E. Johnson report.
Okay, with Johnson, we are still going on schedule there. The roofer, I believe the material for the roofing or the roofing material, the membrane is in. So we are waiting for the roofer to give us a scheduled start date. I did approve to have our environmental partner to come out and start doing testing in the gym, as well as actually just going to go ahead and get the rest of the building tested for lead and asbestos. We have material already marked for asbestos, but we will need to get it verified before we start any demolition. So that is being done with that. Also, I did have a meeting with some staff Friday, but also before that, we did have a meeting with the engineer. They were out there taking measurements in the gym and that area for the gym and the bathrooms for renovation. So the areas that are in first phase, they did take measurements so they can begin their drawings.
Any questions of Mr. Patterson? Not, we will move to the update on the Laurel Hill Community Center.
Laurel Hill Community Center, I had a meeting with that contractor last week, and they are still moving on schedule because of the building arriving late. They didn't do anything for a long time, which actually gave them a lot of time. They went ahead and they ordered their materials, so they have a majority of their materials on hand, not necessarily on the site, but in their control. So they are on schedule, and they are looking to be complete before the contract deadline in October. And there are pictures, and if you go into the Google Drive, there is the Laurel Hill Community Center project, and there are photos. I'm uploading those as we go. I believe this month they are expecting to do the outside bricking. And so by the end of this month, the first part of June, they will actually be inside. So at that point in time, it will look like they're doing very little because they'll be inside the building for the next 3 months.
Weren't they gonna go ahead and start that pickleball court?
Yes, we're waiting on the contractor to get in and start work. They're looking to do that this month, or that should be in place by the end of June.
That's what.
And that is outside of where it's going to be. It's outside of the perimeter, it's construction perimeter. So once that is complete, the community will have access to that.
Any other questions of the county manager? Any other comments? Move to the next item, boards and committee appointments. Mr. Alford? Good report. Thank you, sir.
We will have a couple of positions that are coming up on the zoning board for July, but we currently do not have any applications. So if you know anybody who is interested in that board, please let us know. You can forward them to Brooke, our zoning officer, forward them to Jason, or have them go to our website to apply.
Just real quickly, if we know, how many members on that board? And 12, 7? What are we?
There's 7 members.
7 members. So we're losing 2.
Two are, well, they're eligible to be reappointed.
I'm sorry.
They're eligible to be reappointed.
Have they reapplied or have expressed an interest?
I don't, the one I don't think is, the other one may be. I think they're both on they were on both on their first term. But neither one have reapplied.
Should we let them know that they need to reapply, or?
I think we need to do that.
Yes.
I have told Brooke to let them know.
Okay.
But they're,
I expect one of the members is not interested.
And if but I think we ought to contact both of them just to make sure they understand if they wish to be reappointed, they need to apply.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, John. County manager's report.
Okay. A couple of things. The rescue funds, there was a reporting that was due last Friday. That was completed, Friday, the end of the month, but that was completed, turned in on time beforehand.
And you said it is available to us.
Yes, I put a copy of that in the drive if you want to see it, but we discussed the programs that have already been reported in.
Okay.
When is the next report?
It is quarterly. So that has been done. Also, the reports for the SCIF grants, I did not put this on here. They're also due quarterly, with the first one due in April. Those reports have been submitted as well. Even though no significant activity has been reported for those grants. When we report with the next one, the Laurel Hill Community Center will be reported as fully expended. I expect just within the next 2 normal pay cycles, that amount will be fully funded. And then once we get into Johnson, that will take, I would expect that to be fully expended by the end of the year. And we are currently working on the dam project for that as well. Also, we did have a meeting last week to discuss the opioid funding. I had a meeting with the city of Laurinburg Police Department and Sheriff's Department, DSS, Health Department, hospital were all invited. And with that, just starting the groundwork on what we're looking to do, what what will be a good recommendation for the use of the opioid funds over the next 18 years. We will go off and meet again this month, I believe the 16th. And part of the homework that we left with the group is to come back in with each of the agencies that are actually addressing these issues on their own track already. So we just, part of it is we need to build a network so we all know what everyone is doing. Because we are we're taking small steps on this on a number of fronts, but we don't necessarily share that information on a regular basis. And that was one shortcoming that we discussed at the meeting. But we will start drawing that resource map at the next month, as well as, hold on, here are the symptoms that we're seeing, symptoms of the opioid crisis that we're seeing in the community from the different perspectives, so we can start coming up with a story of need. And of course, any of those meetings, board members are welcome to attend. One other item that was brought up, and I apologize for not putting this in the package. Actually, I got a call this afternoon from the chamber. The Laurel Fest Committee is interested in having beer available on the set for the Saturday evening concert. I believe they're having a gospel concert Friday night. They are having the primary of the festival Saturday throughout the day. Those will continue to be alcohol free, but they are requesting for the event Saturday night to be able to sell alcohol, to be able to sell beer. They have made the request that the chamber get the permit and serve it similarly to how they do it for Live After 5. This is on county property, and this is part of the permit request that they would need written permission from the property owner to have the event with alcohol. So the request is to the board if the board is willing to grant permission. It's at the Laurel Hill Community Center. Yes.
And this request is being made by the Laurel Fest
Committee. Now, with this, of course, the county does have a policy that it does not allow alcohol on county property. So for that reason, I cannot authorize it, but this board can authorize it if it chooses to. We have had Live After 5 out at the Morgan Center, but half of the Morgan complex, the property out there where the soccer fields are not owned by the county. They're owned by the separate corporation that owns Scotland Place, the Stadium Civic. So that's why it was able to be held there, even though the board did approve it to be at that location.
And I'm just saying, has alcohol been served at the Highland Games?
Yeah. It is.
Is that historic property?
That is historic properties.
But there's rules around it, and of course they got to get the license, but they have to have, and Carol May can help here. There has to be so many law enforcement hired and on site based on the attendance or something along those lines. And do we have to set that up during this, or?
Parks and Recreation already has a policy that we do when you rent Scotland Place and have alcohol there. We already have that policy, and that can be extended. And I'm not sure, but that may also be in the ABC permit processes.
I understand that the property, that the name on the deed in the courthouse for the property around the John Blue House says Scotland County Historic Properties. But it's hard to distinguish that from the county when the county insures all that property.
Yes.
And maintenance maintains all that property. So there's sort of a blurry line there. So I would, if they put all of their, dot all their i's and cross all their t's, and the chamber contributes to the effort, I would have a hard time denying it. Based on the fact
I wouldn't want to deny it, but I would say they would need to follow a set of
Yeah, that's what I'm
parameters
saying. Mhm.
we just need to define that parameter, whether it be the park and rec policy or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'll ask this to the manager and the county attorney. What kind of liability falls to the county?
I would certainly notify the carrier, the pool, in advance to see if they have if there's any suggestions of procedures to put in place or any caveats on.
When we do these other things, is our insurance carrier been notified that we've?
No, they weren't on our property. were they?
When it was Live After 5 out at the Morgan Complex, that is property that we insure. And it's been a couple of years, but I would imagine we did not notify them. But also the chamber did have an event policy, which had an alcohol rider. So that could easily be a statement that would be required if this happened.
My sense would be if we go forward with this, that we ask all of those things be attached to this. I'll entertain a motion for.
I can make that motion that if we approve the request, given all of the legalities are covered and in place with policy or procedure. Is that enough?
Well, I think that we've talked about 2 or 3 different things that all of those should be part of what we're asking in either the Laurel Fest Committee, the Chamber of Commerce, or the county insurance carrier to
sign off on.
To be aware of and put restrictions in place to keep people as safe as possible.
That would be my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Have a second. By Commissioner Goldston. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
We have 1 nay, recorded by Commissioner McFadder. The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
And also, you've probably been inundated by emails on this, but you also have a hard copy of the invitation. Today, the governor will be at South Johnson tomorrow morning at 10:30, and you have all been invited to attend.
Also, I think you got the budget work session
Yes.
scheduled for May 24th.
May 24th.
We are scheduled to meet at 10 o'clock. I've had a request that we meet at 9. Is there anybody who has any problem with making that 9 o'clock meeting
On May 24th.
on May 24th?
Yeah, we've had it on the calendar. It's just meeting an hour earlier.
Unless somebody knows they can't make that, I'd like to.
No, I can't make it. I'll be on vacation.
So you wouldn't be there either way. Okay.
Okay.
For the other commissioners is 9 o'clock.
23rd.
That's where you need to be.
My wife's birthday.
Good for you. Good for you.
Is meeting earlier because we're gonna be there for a long time?
No,
or-
sir.
No.
No, sir.
Oh.
For the purpose of transparency, because these budget work sessions have been scheduled on the 4th Tuesday of the month, I have missed 3 of the East Point Board of Directors meetings. And if we can meet an hour earlier, I think I can get there. It's a 2-hour drive. I think I can get there by 3 o'clock.
Our goal would be out of there before 1.
Yeah.
In fact, I think that we will establish now that we will be out of there before 1. I enjoyed our meeting last Tuesday. It
doesn't need to be that.
It doesn't need to be that long. Okay, so I don't think we need a motion for that. We'll just plan to meet it on the 24th at 9 o'clock. Mr. Callens, you write that down, sir? Did you write that down? Because I know you come to be with us.
Sounds good.
All right. Anything else,
That
Ms.
is-
Patterson?
We didn't check
That
with
is it.
you at that time.
We have, commissioners' moments. Anybody have anything they want to bring?
My only concern is we talked about going to Representative Pierce for some funding. I don't want us to kick that too far down the road, so I want to see if we can get a plan going. I know you mentioned some other things.
Yeah.
In addition to what we talked about, but if we can try to put a plan together soon, I think the sooner the better.
Earmark some things that we want it for.
That's
not
right.
Just asking for money.
Yeah.
And with this, I know there is a request for that through the EDC. But with that, I also got information with Brian Graham, and I'm going to work with him hopefully by the end of the week to submit the Dragon Park project to the representative as well.
Is
If
there,
there are any others.
is there anything else that we know we want to add to that list?
I don't,
That's what.
That's what he just said.
Not to that list, but when we closed it the other night, just personal, because I got those phone calls, my phone about the jumping off the roof. I guess I've been jumping off the roof. The way we closed that was, we're gonna upgrade that park, and if any funds were left over, we're gonna use it at market park. And that's not the way we do it. We need to upgrade market park. So we know that, we don't know what to do, but we need to run short of money. We don't want to do anything on the north side. We want, that's a beautiful piece of
It is
property there.
beautiful property.
And if the kids would use it, we had, facilities to use. So we like, I would personally like to see the board, if, when we finish, if we really, need a little more fun, do it and make that property. And give those kids something to play on that way, and not just something left over. That didn't sound right. And I vote for that, but I don't think you want.
And it was my recollection that he was hoping that with the allocation of the 300,000, that he could make a grant request for an equal 300,000.
Yes.
And it was from those funds that he,
Left over, we could use it off the bar, but we should be more specific in my opinion.
do we want to ask him to give us a,
Come back and whatever, if we should, we may not need it anymore to do what we need to do, but not just do a little bit over there. Chief asked to do a plan.
I would think we just ask him if he gets that extra money, how would he allocate it to what parks for what improvements would he intend to make at each of those parks?
And Parks and Recreation does have a master park plan, and we can get him at a point in time to come back in and go back over that plan, update it, especially because now, not only were we going to have Market Park, but also with us taking over Johnson, there is that county park that is immediately behind it, and there's not a whole lot there. And it may be something that the board and Parks and Rec would rather, hold on, let's keep Market Park as more of the community park, but let's put playground equipment at the Johnson site, or vice versa. But that can be, we can have him come in with that master plan discussion. So it's very deliberate.
We would like for him to do that, but not necessarily request additional funds.
Right.
Okay. I don't want to miss what Commissioner BJ Gibson is saying. BJ, do you have something else in mind, or
not right off, I don't. I know you mentioned something about EDC. We mentioned about Parks and Rec, but we've not had any conversation about what EDC is wanting money for. We have talked about Parks and Rec, but we've not had a formal conversation to say this is what we're gonna ask for, and let's set a date to actually do it.
Well, we've got a date for the 24th, but I don't think we need to wait that long to do it.
I agree.
We can get a summary of the project from the EDC and send that out this week to the board.
I think it's also important. I think there are some things I think we can just ask for. It's not going to hurt to ask for additional funds for something like IE Johnson. Yeah. So I think there's other things that we can do. And
I mean, I would like to see additional funds for the John Blue House, because it's that picture of that house just pops up all over if you Google Scotland County, just say Scotland County, it's the first thing that shows. And I would hate for us to lose it because it's irreplaceable.
Well, do we want to determine a time for us to come back together to have that conversation?
I'd rather us just continue having it now. It's not even 7 o'clock. I mean, really.
Well, and here's not the problem with the John Blue, but that if you've ever messed with an old house, it's a pit, and you can spend as much as you want to put in it. But like she said, if we don't do something, we're going to lose it. It's going to fall down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's taped up now, where you can't go on the porch and you can't go in it. And so, but
What's the likelihood that they will? That house?
that would be
No, I mean,
Pierce question.
What was your question, Betty?
I said, what is the possibility you think that they will be running for the John?
Well, it's already been designated as a historic
If you start property.
property. And the feds and the grant they received came from the feds. So someone along the line felt like that the property was valuable enough to restore and keep and give Scotland County $128,000 for it. I'm just trying to add to that.
I would want to take from the possibility of the recreation park, for the parks, you know.
Right, I mean.
Put historic properties on there too, and they may decide to fund historic property, not fund, you know, it's a gamble.
It is a little bit, but I'm just saying, I think it's been recognized as something worth saving, or we would not have gotten $128,000.
Can we write grants for that project? Can we write
It is a
grants for
federal grant that's
I
been.
would rather do that. I just don't want to risk, because there's other things that we can put, send to Raleigh or for, request for, you know, that to me is more important than serving the whole. That's the way.
It was something we on our plate next year.
Do what?
Maybe something we put on our plate next year.
Yeah, I'm just.
Well, luckily the $128,000 grant, when we actually get the final on it, that's going to firm up the foundation. That's really what that money's for, is to go under there and firm it up. Because if we don't, I'm telling you, it's going to fall.
And so, I mean, we'll have the foundation hopefully secured with the 128, but it needs painting, it needs fascia, it needs window replacements, because you want people to continue touring it whenever we have festivals out there.
It's very important. But think about the shelters, you know, the homeless shelters that we may have to contribute toward, you know.
Oh, I know, we've got a long list.
Yeah, yeah, and so I really want to ask for more money than just that 300,000 for recreation for the park. Because Polk County may end up getting a whole lot of money.
Did you say you would not ask for more? Is that what
I said I
They
want
would.
to.
you want to? Okay, I just want to make sure.
And maybe we ask for more than that.
Yeah, I think we should ask for more than 300,000.
Are we even in the ballpark of, I mean, I would like to have some guidelines on how much we should be asking for. I wonder if we could get that from Representative Pierce. I mean, I would hate to embarrass ourselves if we go up there with a list and it's this, and he goes, I'm just.
Okay, 30 million.
Yeah.
30 million.
Well, I had a conversation with both Representative Pierce and Senator Kennis.
Okay,
And
What's that
the EDC has gotten a $2 million grant to build a spec building. And the cost of that is going up. And I talked to them about asking for money for that. And yeah, it was recommended to us that we request $3 million.
For just a spec building.
$3 million. All right, now we have some guidelines.
There was also the caveat
Yeah,
that there is very likely to be the same log jam this year that we've had, not last year, but the 2 previous years, and that there's a confrontation between the legislative body and the governor over Medicaid, and the budget not get passed. So we may.
Oh, I thought they were still talking about on this year's budget, the money would come from.
No. This is coming. This is
next year.
This is coming out of the short
Yeah,
session
we'll-
budget.
Yeah, I wouldn't spend none of that till we have.
well, then I think we should
That's
just
liable
ask
to
for
be
the
a
moon
fight.
and maybe we'll get a couple stars. or vice versa.
Well, that was basically the conversation that I had. They said that
Sounds good to me.
Mr. Chairman. We're talking about sites. I want you to say that. The John Blue House, $25,000 is not going to move out this summer. And it's an emergency situation. Those, today, we're very expensive. Very expensive. But if we're gonna do anything, we need to do it now. That building's gonna collapse. So, I'm just saying to the board, Paul said, if you Google Scotland County Historic Society, that beautiful picture pops up.
We don't have a homeless shelter in the whole county.
And it's very beautiful picture. So if we are going to do anything, it is an emergency use. We need to do it.
Well,
And I don't know, but I'm just saying, $100,000 is not going, $125 is not going to go very far. So that we are concerned about it, and I do want to say this in defense of the folk who criticize it. It is a big draw, and county, everybody uses it, enjoy recreation. I would like to see us. We have some fun today. I think. Raise money. We need to, whatever we're gonna do, we need to.
And I have to say, since I was such I cannot say that I would vote for that as long as we have a need for a home shelter. Now, I'm not saying we're gonna support the idea that they're presented to us, I mean, maybe we can't afford to do it. But I can't see putting them in the John Blue House versus putting a shelter for people that need some respect. That is my.
My vote is not to do the John Blue House and not do anything for the other.
Right,
That's
and I
not
think,
what I'm saying. I'm just saying, matter of fact, let me just say this, Mr. Chairman. I don't like the idea, want to hold on to some money, and we have all these needs, saying, 2024, 2025. John Blue House is not gonna wait, the homeless people. We need to do what we can do, we need to do it now.
Let's take a vote.
Well, let me add this if I can. I think we may be talking about a couple of different parts of money. What I'm hearing some reference to what we've already talked about with the art funds. And then I'm hearing, I think the conversation started out with us asking for in another pot of funds.
and I think that's the conversation we need to be having.
Yeah. What I do want to add though, to what Ms. Golston is saying, I know, or I'm assuming we have a lot of needs and we may not be able to meet all of the needs of the Family Promise Group. Just in this conversation, I think it would be to the benefit of the county that be added to this list as a way of us partnering. We may be able to give some, but then we may be able to advocate on their behalf and get the state to give some funds as well that will help meet that need. And then they're not out there lost, and we're not trying to support it totally either. But I think we're creating a list. John Blue can be a part of that list, along with the spec building and the recreation.
one doesn't counter the other.
Right.
And that's right, because they're going to decide what they fund, if anything.
Right. And whatever we're going to do, Ms. Golston, to support Family Promise, we're going to do that now, not in the later.
And we will not know what the legislature does till at least July the 1st. And hopefully it will be by then, but
More than that.
yeah. But whatever they don't do, we still have the opportunity to either supplement or do.
The art money's gonna be with us till December 24th.
So, well, kind of what I had in mind when we left last Tuesday was that if we had ideas as to what we should add to our list to request of the legislature, that come to this group tonight. And so I think that's what you've been doing, is writing down some of those things. And we've got the spec building, we've got the park, Dragon Park,
Right.
and we're talking about maybe up in that from 300 to 500.
At least.
Okay. And then, would you add John Blue to that? You would add Family Promise to that. I think I hear from.
Add them both.
And John Blue could also be requested specifically by historic properties.
Okay. Historic
By
property.
historic properties.
So they can do it.
And they can do their own request.
And how about the, I don't want to complicate this, but we talked about doing something in Gibson. Why would that not be a good thing to add to this list?
Really
too?
good thing to add.
And
And it doesn't delete it from us doing it.
none
But
of
if
this
we
does.
get that, right.
If we get that, that's that much more money we got to spend to do something
Yeah,
else.
right.
Okay, is there anything else that people want to put on this wish list?
Y'all got any ideas out there?
Well, I think the magic to that is whatever number you come up with, put it on there, double it. And then when they cut it in half, they'll feel better.
That's
We get
right.
all our money.
Yeah, ask high.
Well, and that's kind of, I think, the advice when we were talking about the spec bill.
So, Mr. Patterson, will you compile this list and then send it back out to us to review? And then, Mr. Chairman, are you and the vice chairman gonna reach out to our representatives and meet?
Well, what we'll do is we'll reach out and see how many of us can go, and whoever wants to go will go.
Because county assembly day is not till June, and we need to go way before that.
Yeah. Well, they don't go back in session till May 17th. I think it's important they have this in hand before May 7th.
That's right.
Wow.
I think that's the right day. If not the right day, that's close.
18th.
I'm sorry,
18th.
May 18th. So if you've got other ideas, if you would voice those to the county manager.
Leon may want 6-3.
And let's do that. Listen to me, please. Let's do that no later than Friday. Okay.
Where did we go up there last year?
It was July.
Yeah, it was in the summer.
I just knew you would remember the day.
It was July.
Also what happened.
Do we,
You got stuck on me. I was on the commission. You asked for news.
okay. Thanks, sir. Ms. Commissioner, any comments from you? Ms. Golston?
I do have one thing, the project that we're thinking about, for, what is it, North?
Turnpike.
Turnpike, that they have gotten a meeting set up for, May 12th at 6 o'clock. And so I'm asking everyone in the commissioners to go there and help them. They're trying to organize, a committee to work on this project. And they are really, really, really trying to reach out to as many people as they can. Because they really, this is a project that they really got to go through it. So if Clarence and DJ and Carol and Pitt, and I know, and Ivy and Alfred, and I know that Kevin will try to be there, but he's gonna be the main one probably when I'm.
When is it?
Where's it gonna be at?
12th of May at 6 o'clock at the Oak Hill Center, and I meant to call and get the name of that street, and I cannot remember the Clarence.
North Turnpike.
What?
North Turnpike.
That road is North Turnpike.
But at the Oak Hill Center.
Oak Hill Center.
Right next to the church.
Right next to the church.
Betty, I will tell you that Tammy's having surgery on both of her feet on the 11th. So
We understand.
I will try to be there, but I'm,
No, I think we can, as a commission,
okay, well, I will plan to go, but
I can be there.
I might not.
6 o'clock, yeah. And Kevin, I hope that you can go, because they will really need to. I wish that our engineer would go, but then, I don't know whether he does things like that or not.
Who?
The
engineer for the city of Laurinburg that we use for the water system.
Are you available that day?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Alford, any comments?
One thing, Liberal Council of Government, I've been on there for, and my term expires in July. But I would like to go and continue my resignation. My backup is Mr. Fallon. He has informed me that
I'll be somebody
you
else.
will stay there where you are. You don't
I'll be
move
somebody else
up.
back up. I still be somebody else back up.
So,
You'll still be the alternate. You just don't want to be the,
Yeah.
okay.
so I wish I could see what that lady was going to. I would love, I can't drive at night.
We appointed Mr. Ivy to replace you on something else last time?
Southeast of the action. And I believe he might take this.
Well, we discussed it, and I said I wanted to make sure Mr. Fatter was good with it because
It's similar to the one that he's done, that's like, it would be just a good match. You do virtually the same.
I make a motion that appoint Tim Ivy, take John off the place.
You say this now, next month,
Expected,
not July.
not July, but in June?
In June.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
And Mr. Ivy, are you willing to, before we assign this to him?
It's been virtual, you can do it virtual.
I don't think I have any meetings on Thursday.
And you,
I'm fine.
okay, we have a motion and a second and an acceptance, which I think is equally important. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. And this would be an appointment available the 1st of June.
Well, if I'm not there, we call them, I guess, yeah, be effective. June.
Okay, the next meeting would be in June or,
Well, yeah, the one that's, this month, I can.
okay, so you're going to go to the one this month.
Yeah.
Would it be appropriate for Mr. Ivy to accompany you so they will,
Oh, don't load my calendar in May no more.
yeah, you got,
You
you,
going virtual or you going first?
but Tim, that's up to you whether you want to go or not. That's,
I'll get with
We'll get together, I don't know.
but if you'll, we need to communicate to the COG that your term will cease the end of May and Mr. Ivy's been appointed to replace you. Mr. Ivy, any comments?
you. No,
Okay.
I just asked Jason to get me whoever, whatever.
I'll do what I do.
Kind of like what you did
Yeah, I
on
was
this.
gonna say, I'll do what I do with Southeastern.
I think we should comment, John, for so many years going down there in Robinson County.
The attorney asked me if we voted on that. I did. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. I don't have anything personal. We do have, I'd like for the board, I'd like to make this motion that the board approve the proclamation for May 15th through 21st to be designated as EMS Week in Scotland County. Also that May 6th through 12th be designated as Nurses Week in Scotland County. That is my motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And I believe I have to read these into the record. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, if you'll.
or I can read it.
You got them in front of you?
It's whatever you'd like to do.
I'm going to go ahead and do it. Proclamation, Nurses Week in Scotland County, May 6th through 12th, 2022. Whereas the 4 million registered nurses nationally are not only the cornerstone of patient care, but are also leaders in improving the quality of care and seeking ways to continue increasing access to care. And whereas the depth and breadth of the registered nursing profession meet the different and emerging healthcare needs of the United States, North Carolina, and Scotland County population in a wide range of settings. And whereas professional nursing has been demonstrated to be an indispensable component of the safety and quality of care of all patients. And whereas nurses comprise the largest group of healthcare professionals in the United States. And whereas the American Nurses Association established National Nurses Week in 1993, and now therefore it be proclaimed by the Scotland County Board of Commissioners that the week of May 6th through 12th, 2022 is to be Nurses Week in Scotland County. the community is encouraged to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities to thank a nurse. Proclaim this the second day of May, 2022. I don't know of anything that is being done to commemorate that.
The health department will have activities during that. We'll have some activities during that.
Will they be advertised on the radio and newspaper?
Uh,
If we tell the radio, it will be, won't it be? Let me read the second proclamation. EMS Week in Scotland County, May 15th through 21st, 2022. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the number of emergency medical service teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designated Emergency Medical Services Week, now therefore be it proclaimed by the Scotland County Board of Commissioners that the week of May 15th through 21st, 2022 is to be Emergency Medical Services Week in Scotland County, with the EMS strong theme, EMS Week Rising to the Challenge, that the community is encouraged to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Proclaim this the second day of May, 2022. And Commissioner Goldston, that's an excellent question. We need to find out what is being done to commemorate the hard work of the medical providers, the nurses, and all of our EMT technicians. So we will try to see if we can make sure the newspaper and the radio pay some attention to that. Okay, that is it, I think, for our agenda. We do have a closed session requirement that should not be very long. It is according to, I'm going to make the motion that we go into closed session according to GS 143-318, period 11, parens A, parens 3, for consultation with our attorney in regard to Scotland County 19 Property Tax Commission case number 79. And do I have a second of that motion?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Gibson. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. We are going into closed session. Thank you, all of you, for being here.
And then closest one to get from.
But I don't.
Have you asked? A new roof will, okay. Okay.